Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Stanford Live. I'm super excited today. We are hosting two of our veterans here at Stanford Health Care, both Army veterans. They'll be chatting with us today about just life in the healthcare industry, what it was like to transition over from military life to civilian life, getting their foot in the door in healthcare, working here at Stanford, and just why they love working here at Stanford and feel the support from their colleagues and team. So I will get us started by introducing Carlos Rodriguez, who is going to be our first veteran joining us. He is an Army vet and has been working at Stanford now for a couple of years. So without further ado, Carlos, I'll let you take over.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Carly. Yes, my name is Carlos Rodriguez. I am a former Army veteran. I served from 2007 to 2016. I served all the way across the world from Afghanistan to Korea and also in Wiesbaden, Germany. This was my last duty station. Um, I would say that it's been a pleasure ever since I got out. It was also a challenge getting out of the United States Army and adapting to civilian life. Um, I will say that I've been blessed by finally getting the opportunity of working here at Stanford. Reason being is because I have worked in many other places such as ADP, PayPal, including Intel Corporation, the microchip processing company. And I didn't feel like I was being 100% supported on such as a veteran. And there were times that it was completely off putting. And finally, I was able to find this organization here that I was actually able to feel supported, be resourced, and be given the opportunities for not just growing but also developing as a personal person and personal reasons, and as well as professional. So I would like to get started also with saying thank you very much for your times. I know it's very valuable, and if you have any questions, you guys can feel free to reach out to me, and I'm here as a resource available. I'm looking forward to any other questions you guys may have. So um, one thing I want to say right off the bat. Thank you for all the devil dogs that are in the chat today. I know that it is your birthday coming up soon in November 10th, but still, we're celebrating early since the chat is not, going to be available until November 10th. So go devil dogs, keep going at it. Um, anyway, well, the reason that I picked Stanford, I will say that more and more, Stanford just came at my lap. It was one of those that I did not know that I was even going to be able to be um, called upon, but it was being at the place that I was working prior. I was pretty much left out without any of the support, and I was also being, not having the guidance that I needed so I can adapt to the civilian lifestyle. And it kept one of those things that I just kept, like I said before, kept switching from place to place so I could find a place that I belonged, and I knew that I had folks that I can continuously work for and bat for, because it's very important for us, especially that we have that mentality that we're watching out for one another, and that we resolve issues at the lowest level so that we don't have to go up ahead and chain of command. So being that the case here in Stanford, I was able to do that and actually be able to perform at such a task and capabilities that it shined and it was shown. So um, I will say that amongst every other place, and I'm not here to butter it up or anything, but it was very great to have the team here chose me to work for Stanford, as well as that opportunity to grow and develop myself, both personally and professionally. Um, Things that helped me in the transition, I would say, speaking to your civilian resource coordinator in your bases before you leave, in all bases, it doesn't matter. Please speak to them. They are there to help you. Um, I give a big shout out to the team over in Wiesbaden, Germany. They definitely helped me out being transitioning over from military life to civilian life. My apologies. And I was able to get on my feet a lot faster, and I was able to adapt from being that military mindset over to the civilian lifestyle that was happening. Um, and likewise, like I said before, please feel free to reach out. I will definitely be able to help out in any way, shape, or form. I have lots of resources that I can give out, and both in the VA and outside of the VA, if necessary. Um, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Glad to have you in the chat. And I'll be passing it over back to Carly.
Thanks so much, Carlos. I'm going to be passing it over to Talia now. This is actually her first job post Army life. So Talia, tell us, what made you decide post Army life you're coming to Stanford, and how has it been? How has the adjustment been from active duty to being, in civilian role, and just what are some of the changes that have come with it?
Hi. Yes, my name is Talia. I'm an Army veteran. The transition from military to civilian was a crazy one. There's not a lot of help and resources as you're transitioning unless you do already know people that have recently separated, just because there's a lot of changing factors that some of my colleagues weren't able to help me with, because when they transferred out, it wasn't the same as when I did. I did serve 4 years in the Virginia National Guard, and 5 years in active duty, all within human resources. I did enlist in my junior year of high school, and then I separated in October of 2021. I joined the Stanford Health Care team a month after transitioning, as a talent acquisition coordinator, which was a contracted role. And then I just kind of kept that faith that I would be converted to a full-term employee, which I was in May of 2023. So my current role is a talent acquisition consultant, and that is just helping to source candidate applications and assist the hiring teams on finding the best applicant that's for our open roles. I'd say my favorite part of working for Stanford Health Care would be the management side. Coming from military to civilian life, the way that employees are treated is just a lot better. The care that you receive from your direct leaders and also your managers is just completely different than what you receive on the military side. So I would say that is definitely my favorite part of working for Stanford. Some of the things that I wish I knew transitioning were there are resources that will help you to turn your resume from military to civilian. I definitely recommend looking up the differences between military jargon and civilian. That way your resume is just more understood in the civilian world, because a lot of the times we do believe that everyone understands what we're saying when that is not reality. Ultimately, I did join the Stanford Health Care team because it has always been a goal of mine to work in healthcare. Just some of the injuries that I sustained in the Army just made me a little bit uncomfortable doing that as a nurse, or a PA, which is the role that I was going for. But this did ultimately allow me to be within the healthcare team, still with the impact, just a different impact than what I originally planned.
Thank you for that introduction, Talia. Gonna scoot it over to Carlos again. So Carlos, when you separated, obviously you started out at a different company and then came to Stanford. For someone that is potentially active duty right now looking to separate from the military, what is one thing you wish you had known when you were going through that transition, that if you could go back to that time and say, hey, make sure you do this or make sure you know that? And for someone that might be looking at Stanford during that transition, what would you tell them about, here's why Stanford would be a great spot for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, one things first, I know that the way that pay is performed in the military is a lot different than how it is in the civilian world. First and foremost, in the military, pretty much you get paid twice a month. I apologize, and twice a month, and pretty much your benefits are covered. Also, many times, housing is already covered for you. So make sure that when you are separating and you're looking for employment anywhere, that it's going to cover the lifestyle that you are currently accustomed to or looking for. So, housing is not covered. So make sure that you accept a position or a job that is, willing to, able to pay for housing that you don't have to pay for, as well as other utilities and amenities such as, light, power, light, sewage, gas, you name it. Along with that, make sure that, when you're transitioning, that you communicate with, again, the resource guides, resource folks that are on base and as well as outside. Definitely, our jargons are definitely different, and it never hurts to ask for clarification. There has been many times where I was left out thinking, why are we sending fire support? But in reality, it wasn't even fire support. It was more like being able to gather up the team for a meeting. And I was like, well, I needed to ask these questions beforehand. And being that I am, if you're looking here at Stanford, one of the greatest things that I enjoyed is the fact that at least the benefits here are very good. And compared to every place that I've worked up for prior to, and having that like, hey, this is what I'm going to be able to afford for my family and take care of for my family is readily available, and all the resources that are available here in Stanford as well, so that you can bring about your knowledge and your experiences in the military into the civilian world. They will be able to help you as well. So that's one folks that you can have at your fingertips. And as well as if there's anything out there that, again, said so before, you need to reach out and have a specific questions, you can reach out, and then I'll provide that resource that you can get help from. Back to you, Carly.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Kind of keeping in that spirit, Talia, when you were looking for roles, or were there certain benefits that you had become accustomed to being active duty that you knew you weren't going to have necessarily coming into the civilian life, being a veteran, that stood out to you when you were looking at the different jobs available at Stanford, that it kind of made you go, okay, this is where I belong. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And since coming into Stanford, how do you feel that your team has helped support you in adapting to civilian life?
So as far as benefits, I think the biggest thing that I was looking for was healthcare and dental. Of course, leaving TRICARE where everything is covered, no matter what you're being seen for, going into just knowing that different insurances provide different things. That is one of the main things that I was looking for. And then also I had to keep in mind the cost of living in the area versus where I was coming from. I was coming from Columbia, South Carolina. So just knowing that difference from South Carolina to California, and just kind of preparing myself to budget to be able to pay for those things. And then the pay for the role that I was accepting, just knowing whether or not that was going to support my lifestyle, or whether or not I was going to have to cut back and do kind of those things. And then one of the things that I did think was great is that the roles we do look for transferable skills rather than direct experience. That is something I also looked for. Just as a veteran leaving human resources in the Army, I just know that a lot of what I did does not translate into civilian terms. So if they're looking for me to have direct human resource experience, I'm automatically going to be cut out of the running. So I was looking also for just job descriptions that said that military was encouraged to apply and stuff like that. That way I would at least be given a chance to interview for the role instead of immediately being discounted.
I like to piggyback off of what Talia said, believe it or not, because even though Stanford is a healthcare company, there are other roles that are just beyond just healthcare. There's roles that are procurement. So folks that work in the supply area of the things in the military can actually apply as well, because there's procurement that needs to be done, computers that need to be purchased, and equipment that needs to be, taken off supply or anything like that. And there's also jobs for IT, which, because, in the day of age now with data being so prevalent, there's folks that we need to secure our systems, especially to make sure that our customer information, our client data, and as well as all, everything that happens in the background, such as, payroll, benefits, everything that happens in the background is safely secured. So there's positions in those areas in these organizations. So I would say best is to, look into them and find out if they are best meet your needs, and then you can apply. And definitely talent acquisition individuals like Talia that have that experience and background can help in ensuring that you'll be able to assist with your transition, if anything. So sorry, but Carly, you can take that.
No, you are fine. I'm going to ask both of you, I guess, but I'll start with Talia since kind of going back and forth with you two. With the transition, how has your team at Stanford helped you acclimate to life as a civilian? How have they supported you as a veteran? It's not a secret that being active duty in the military comes with, some great perks. You've done a great service for our country, but there can also be some cons, and you really do need that support of your community when you come back, and the support, of your employer and those that you're on a team with. So, Talia, how has your team helped, rally around you and support you, and help make this transition just a really great one?
So I'd say they probably did two main things. The biggest thing is just having patience. So I know one of my biggest struggles leaving military to civilian is the lack of structure. For me, a lot of what you see in military is black and white. There's a lot of structure. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. It'll lead to XYZ. However, in the civilian world, that is not the case at all. There is a lot of gray, and just having that patience with me while I adjust and kind of retrain my brain to allow for things not to be black and white has been very helpful in my transition. And then another thing that they did is they do lean on some of my military strengths a lot. So a lot of what I offer is just kind of, they lean into what I learned in the military. So being able to help to reframe some of the things that we are doing to provide a little bit more structure while not too much structure for the civilians that I work with. That has helped me a lot. That way we lean into my strengths while also helping to build the some of my weaknesses.
So Carlos, I'm going to pivot over to you. Same question. How has your team helped support you and continues to support you on a daily basis in your role?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, I do agree with Talia's saying of the unstructured environment. But one thing that we have to look into is that the military is that structured environment where everything you take it is from your manager. But in the civilian world, not one person knows everything. And that's the one thing that I have learned to adjust. And my coworkers are also like my best confidants in terms of getting the job done. That is ultimately the goal that we all want to achieve, is being able to get these, any task that comes our way, projects and such, that we can lean on each other and get the job done, because we're all in one team, one fight. So that is one thing that I had to learn, but at the same time, being able to get it, believe that these, in the best aspects that every single one of us want to get the job done so we can go home, is technically like the same mentality as in the military. So all y'all E4s out there that understand that mentality is, hey, let's just get the job done so we can go home or knock out the next thing that we have to get out of the way. That's definitely the same mentality. The second thing I will say is that my team has also empowered me to getting things done. The mentality of the military of like we are just very solely focused in very ambiguous environments has been very beneficial for the team that I have, and they will leverage that because they see us as individuals that you give a task, we get it done, and then we also provide you with the results as well as, hey, these are the things we've learned, so that then they can do it better in the future, or that you'll be spearheading another project in the future. And that's what we tend to focus on. And well, at least my team focuses on heavily. And that's something that I do praise my leadership, because they have assisted me in this environment. And, in other environments that I've worked for previously, it was really rough. Since everything is very structured, it was extremely overly structured, and there were still things that did not make sense. And, sometimes it was redundant beyond redundant, or even no longer viable situations in case of, making these projects or changes that we were working on. So, that's one thing that has been known, at least working here in other environments, that we are looked at more as getting the job done in very ambiguous environments, and just management will rely on those moments of getting it done above all.
Thank you for that, Carlos. Well, obviously, you guys have both been with us for some time, and and seem to enjoy working for us. So, Talia, what brings you joy about working at Stanford? What makes you excited about coming to work every day and continuing to grow your career at Stanford? Because you've already gotten a promotion since joining us. What just makes you stay and say, this is the right role for me? This is exactly where I'm meant to be.
I'd say my reason for staying, my direct manager and the assistance that he provides me every day, and just kind of helping me to still transition into the civilian world, and also the impact that I feel we're making on people that are trying to get into the healthcare realm. A lot of the feedback that I receive from the offers that we're able to make, and a lot of the joy that I see that we are extending when they finally get into that healthcare role that they've been chasing, is just indescribable. I'd say that is definitely one of the reasons that I continue to push to stay and grow within Stanford Health Care.
I love that. And I also know your direct manager, and he is an absolutely amazing leader here at Stanford. And I'm so happy that he handpicked you to join our team, because I get to work with you on a daily basis. Carlos, obviously I've gotten to work with you now here, kind of, partnering with you on some veterans things over the last couple of weeks, and it's been great getting to know you. What makes you excited about coming to work every day and growing your career at Stanford? What has you saying, yeah, I'm staying here and I'm not going anywhere?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to say the pay. Just kidding. Not. I would say is definitely the opportunity of being able to serve others in the healthcare field, especially after several years in the military. Being able to get to work with a very prestigious organization that is in the forefront of research and stuff, so that we can assist patients in taking care of them medically, is definitely one of the founding reasons as to why I wake up every day, because I know that the work that I do, even though it's not directly impacting, is supporting those individuals that will get the job done, that are getting those critical tasks done, and ensuring that they can achieve their utmost potential, has always been something that I feel enjoyment in my life, both in the military, when I was able to assist soldiers and such being able to grow their careers, as well as here in the civilian world being able to grow their capabilities and showing them how to utilize the system so they could be to their advantage, has always been something that I personally enjoy. And then to be able to grow here, and the reason I keep choosing Stanford is, definitely the opportunities of growth, not just like by promotions, but being able to learn more tools and being able to facilitate and being able to have those projects have some form of merit that actually have an impact in the overall organizational structure, has been the best feeling for me. I like being able to assist others, being able to get their jobs done when they need to, or if there's a problem, I can fix it for them so that they can get back to the task at hand. And that has been something that has been, to me, invaluable. And I know I've been recognized in many other ways and such, but I'm looking to see what else I can do, and growing within Stanford as well.
Thank you, Carlos. One other thing I wanted to touch on, because I know we're getting to the bottom here of our time. Obviously, being in the military, there's a lot of camaraderie. You've got that group of people that you see day in and day out, and they're constant. Here at Stanford, Talia, I'll start with you and then I can pass it over to Carlos. How have you felt that camaraderie here? How have you gotten involved here at Stanford Health Care? Have you done different events with your team to stay connected? Have you joined any of our employee resource groups? Like, what are ways that have helped you kind of maintain that camaraderie with your new team here?
I'd say some of the ways I've attended a few of the events, and also I did join what they call the fun committee. So that was one of the ways that I kind of immersed myself into the Stanford community, as well as when they have the meetings that are optional, where they host games where we get to know each other and stuff like that. I think those have been very helpful to me. The weekly as well as the monthly meetings that we have with the big team, where we can give kudos and shout outs and stuff like that, and also get to know each other. We play the mini games. I think that has been extremely helpful in learning who you're working with and also building that morale, even though we do work in a remote environment, so we don't get to see each other in the office like that. I think those meetings have helped a lot.
Carlos, for you?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the weekly meetings and such that with our team sets up. We have at least 3 quick meetings every week, so we can make sure that everybody's being supporting us whatever way they can for work wise. But at the same time, we actually take time to set up games and stuff like that, so we can get to know each other and we actually compete in those scenarios. But definitely not just like trivia games and stuff like that, but we also set up other aspects so that we can get to know each other. Like we have our one-on-ones, so definitely being able to sit with our team member and talk about what's going on or anything, that getting to know them in a personal level rather than just like work wise, and say, hey, like my name is Carlos Rodriguez, I was veteran and stuff like that, or that they get to know me, that hey, I love working on cars and motorcycles, I'm studying also to to fly a plane or anything like that. And got to many of my team members just thought that I was just, hey, a guy behind the computer getting work done, but no, there's more to me than just work. And definitely working in a remote environment does have its challenges, but definitely the team here in Stanford has been able to enable and foster an environment where folks can work remotely and as well as still get to know the other person. I mean, I work with folks all the way in Mexico to Eastern Standard Time over in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, Virginia, and I work with folks over in in Texas and in California, while I live in solely here in Arizona. And because our team has been able to foster this great environment, I do meet up with a couple coworkers, that live here in the Phoenix, Arizona area, which we just, we meet up at least once every other week and just, have, meet up at a pub, couple beers and have a good time and have that camaraderie from work. And, it's very highly encouraged by, at least by my, definitely by my management team, to have that camaraderie, have those gatherings. So it's not like you're just, the person behind the computer all the time. So to be known that this is a really great environment. It's one of the best and utmost best companies and organizations to work for. Back to you, Carly.
Thank you so much, Carlos. I love hearing that. So we're getting kind of to the end here. So I wanted to, before we signed off, I wanted to get one last question, or I guess answer, out of Carlos and Talia. We've talked about a lot today. We've talked about a lot having to do with separating from the Army. If there's someone watching right now, they're in your shoes, Talia 2 years ago, Carlos, 4 years ago, I believe. What would you tell them? I'm sure there's nervousness, there's jitters. They're leaving something that they're so comfortable with, and it's kind of the unknown, leaving the military life to come to the civilian life. What is one thing that you would like to say to them as they start this transition? And Talia, I'll start with you.
I'd say, just looking back on the way that I felt when I was ready to get out, getting out is an extremely scary decision to make, especially when you're in for 5+ years. This is kind of just what you know. I would say to trust yourself and trust the decision that you are making, because you are making the best decision for yourself. Don't allow retention to scare you into believing the civilian world is this big, scary place that they do say as you're getting out. Ask all of the specific questions that you need. Look at the way that you're getting out. Ask those questions about the type of separation that you are taking, and just take it one day at a time and trust the judgment that has led you to where you are today.
Carlos?
Sure thing. I will definitely say, remember the reasons why you were joining the military. Definitely one is the tenacity that of yourself. Trust the aspect that you have, that grit within you, so that you can go further than before, and trust in yourself. Like Atalia said, definitely trust that gut, trust that mindset that you have, that this is the best case for not just yourself, but if you have a family while in the military as well, that this is the best choice for your family as well. Talk things over. They're definitely your best advocates, and they always will watch out for whatever's best for yourself as well, because it's not just you anymore when it comes down to a family. But you know that you're not going to be the only one. You're not the only one that is going through that same thought pattern process of, like, that you're leaving the military. Many others before have done so, and the thing is that we all are here to help each other out. Just because you leave the military, camaraderie does not end. I could tell you that right now, because there's a member of my team that he was in the military as well. He was in the Navy. And as soon as I got to know him in that one-on-one session, from there on out, we were brothers in arms in here in Stanford for sure. And to this day, we still nag each other about Army versus Navy games and other aspects of day-to-day life. So know that you're always supported. There's resources in Stanford. There's resources outside Stanford. There's resources even within the military that will gladly assist you in your transition. So you got your back. Okay, always.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you to everyone that joined us today. A huge thank you to Talia and Carlos for sharing their experience of transitioning from military to civilian life, letting us know kind of the pros and cons, letting us know the questions to ask. We appreciate everyone that tuned in today. Thank you for spending this last half an hour with us, learning just a little bit more about veterans' life. And for those of you that are looking to Stanford Health Care for a career opportunity, and you would like to speak with a veteran, message us on whatever platform you are watching this on, and we'd be happy to connect you with a veteran here at Stanford that can kind of help you go through the process and help you make the decisions that you're looking to make for civilian life, and helping you feel supported. But enjoy the rest of this Monday, and to all of our veterans this weekend, we wish you a happy Veterans Day and say thank you for your service. And we will see you guys on the next edition of Stanford Live.